Good day, everyone. I will be your first reporter for the GRICE's cooperative theory. I am Lovella Jumamil from BAEL 2A, and I will discuss about the four maxims and its violation. But first, let's know about who is GRICE. Conversation works, even when we don't say what we mean. Why it works so well fascinated philosopher Paul GRICE. He wondered about conversations such as this. You've got a mountain to climb. It's better than a slap in the face. What is going on here, and how do we know? Paul GRICE is a British educated philosopher of language. Spent the last 2 decades of his career in the US. Used to record thousands of people's conversations and listen to them to find out how they worked. Usually when we speak, the listener expects us to say the truth and to be relevant and clear. The English philosopher Paul GRICE suggested that in ordinary conversation, the speaker and the hearer share a cooperative principle. GRICE says that when two people communicate, it is their own best interest to make it go as smoothly as possible. When we communicate, we assume, without realizing it, that we and the people we are talking to will be conversationally cooperative. We will cooperate to achieve mutual conversational ends. Speakers shape their utterances to be understood by hearers. GRICE analyzes cooperative principles in 4 maxims: quantity, quality, relevance, and manner. The first maxim is the maxim of quality, or telling the truth. Do not say what you believe to be false. Do not say that for which you lack adequate evidence. So when someone speaks to us, we assume that what they say is true. The second maxim is the maxim of quantity. Say just as much as is necessary. Make your contribution as informative as is required for the current purposes of the exchange. Do not make your contribution more informative than is required. So when someone speaks to us, we assume that they do not purposefully hold back anything that is important, and they do not give unnecessary information. Next is the maxim of relevance. It is being stick to the point. Make your contributions relevant. As a listener, we assume that what they say is relevant to the conversation. The last maxim is the maxim of manner. Be clear. Make your contributions clear. Do not be ambiguous. Be ordered and brief. Avoid obscurity of expression and ambivalence of formulation. So when someone speaks to us, we assume that what they say is being said straightforwardly as they can say it. In short, when holding a conversation, we should be true, be brief, be clear, be relevant. These maxims ensures that conversation is maximally efficient, rational, and cooperative. However, you can choose to ignore the maxims, usually to create a particular effect. A speaker can choose to violate, be intentionally misleading, opt out, to refuse to cooperate, flout, be intentionally ironic. Violation of maxims. Violation, according to GRICE, takes place when speakers intentionally refrain to apply certain maxims in the conversations to cause misunderstanding on their participants' part to achieve some other purposes. First violation, the violation of the maxim of quality. Did you study all day long? Yes, I've been studying until now. In this exchange, the boy is not truthful and violates the maxim of quality. He is lying to avoid unpleasant consequences such as punishment or to be forced to study for the rest of the day. The violation of the maxim of quantity. How was your first day at school? Fine. Here, the mother asked her daughter a question, and she expected her daughter to give her more details about her first day at school. However, her daughter violates the maxim of quantity by giving her information less than required. The daughter does not say as much as it is necessary to make her contribution cooperative. Hence, she makes her listener unsatisfied. The violation of the maxim of relevance. Why didn't you do your homework? May I go and get some water? I'm so thirsty. In the exchange, the student's answer is by no means relevant to the teacher's question. One reason for this answer can be the fact that the student is trying to evade the interrogation posed by the teacher. The violation of the maxim of manner. Did you enjoy the party last night? There's plenty of oriental foods on the table, a lot of flowers all over the place, and people hanging around chatting with each other. Two interpretations can be made from Anna's description. First, Anna has such a good time at the party that she is obviously too excited and has no idea where to begin. Second, Anna had such a terrible time and she does not know how to complain about it. The next topic would be the flouting of the Maxims, which will be reported by Miss Jaquelyn Garcia.
Hi, my name is Jaquelyn Garcia and today I'm going to tackle about the types of floating the maxim. So let's start. Floating the maxims. In this case of floating of cooperative maxims, the speaker desires the greatest understanding in his or her recipient because it is expected that the interlocutor is able to uncover the hidden meaning behind the utterances. So there are four types of floating the maxims. First is the maxim of quality. Maxim of quality means teacher to a student who arrives late more than 10 minutes to the class. Example of this, when his students are late, the teacher said that, "Wow, you're such a punctual fellow. Welcome to the class." And as a student, we always said that, "Sorry sir, it won't happen again." So in this maxim, it is obvious from what the teacher says that he is teasing the students and his purpose is by no means praising him. He exploits the maxim of quality to be sarcastic. Second, the maxim of quantity. Yam and Jura are talking on the phone. Example of this, Yam said, "Where are you, Jura?" While Jura said, "I'm in my clothes." Jura tells the truth because it is expected that people are always in some clothes. Yet, she floats the maxim of quantity because the information is insufficient for Yam. Third is the maxim of relevance. In the conversation of Bob and Mary, Bob said, "What were you and Anna talking about? You were looking at me all the time." While Mary said, "Oh, well, why don't we go get something to drink?" Mary answers Bob's questions with a suggestion in an obvious attempt to evade it, perhaps to avoid hurting Bob's feelings. Hence, she floats the maxim of relevance. And the last one is the maxim of manner. For example, the conversation of wife and husband. Wife said, "Darling, what's the story with that new watch on your wrist?" Husband said, "Oh, this watch you're talking about? I knew it. I told my boss that my wife would be curious when she says it. Oh, honey, you have no idea how much they're satisfied with my performance lately." So, in this maxim, the husband would be better off if he told his wife from the beginning of the conversation that his boss awarded him a prize. However, he floats the maxim of manner to assure his wife that the watch was a gift from a person that she also knew and there is no need for jealousy. So, in conclusion, we always use the cooperative principle when we talk. At the same time, we always violate the maxims. But still, the message that we want to convey is being understood for the most cases. And the next slide is the implicature, and it is tackled by Merriam NOYNAY.
Okay, for implicature. So what is implicature? Accounts for what the speaker can imply, suggest, or mean as distinct for that the speaker literally say. An utterance which conveys meaning beyond its proposition or the semantic content of an utterance. Anyway, recognizing an implicature is drawing conclusions. Paul GRICE subdivided implicature into two types, conversational Conversational involves cooperative principle under the assumption that speakers want to cooperate. We tend to draw conclusions from what is said. Conventional doesn't involve cooperative principle. It makes a point about contrast, usually tipped off by the keywords like but, yet, even, therefore, and, however. On the next level, we can subdivide as well, specifically conversational implicature. So what are those? Okay. Generalized implicature. It is a loosely context-bound, which means it doesn't depend much on the context. It is commonly triggered by the indefinite article a and an. Generalized implicature is an inferences that refer to the non-explicit meaning that occur by default in any type of context. Try to look at this example. Okay. So the criminal put a house on fire. This sentence features a generalized implicature simply by using the article a. Okay. So the implication behind it is just the house being put on fire is not his own house, but apparently it is a random house or somebody's house. So next is particular implicature. It is a strongly context bound, which means strongly depends to the context to implicate correctly. Okay, so try to look at this example. So, do you want to go to the cinema tonight? And then B answers, my little sister is coming for a visit. Okay, so on the surface, B replies an irrelevant answer to A's question. Anyway, what B wanted to implicate is that B doesn't have time for the cinema because B is busy to his sister's visit. This is an example of a particular implicature simply because we wouldn't have a clue what this utterance is about if we didn't ask question. Next is scalar. Scalar implicature. We denote a degree or something, thereby implicating the negation of all degrees above the chosen one. So we have the scale from none to all. Okay, from none, few, some, many, most, and all. Okay, try to look at this example. I had some buttered scones for tea. Okay, the word some is in the middle of the scale, which implicates that you had some of the scones but not all of it because they are really high in fats and you wouldn't really want to eat it. Thank you everyone, and I hope you understand our report.